Welcome back to I'm Still Here. I'm Larry.
And I'm Heather. In 1998, at the age of 26, I was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. It changed everything for us, but I'm still here.
Why are you taller than me all the time?
Because I have a long torso.
That's not the reason.
And you slouch. I don't know.
I don't slouch.
I do.
Welcome back. We are going to, not every time, but in the next coming probably month or months, we're going to be kind of taking a step back and getting specific about some certain things dealing with cancer and trying to give some specific tips on to try to help people out, maybe going through it the first time, or maybe you've been through it and hadn't thought of something that Heather brings to this through a lot of experience, and you go, oh, wow, that would make things a little bit better.
Yeah, I think we're trying to identify some of the points that cause anxiety, or some of the things that we have learned, or I've learned over the years, that we can do to maybe just decrease the stress of managing cancer,
making
right?
a crappy thing a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you can. I do this in my life. I try to plan everything to try to head off the crappy things that I already know. Well, sometimes you read a book, or sometimes you go, wow, I hadn't thought of that. Or somebody brings it up to you and you go, wow, that made things so much better. So
today we're going to talk about appointments. And when we say appointments, we mean any kind of reason that you're heading to the hospital or heading.
With the exception, we're not going to talk really about surgeries today.
No,
right?
Surgeries, I think, is its own special.
So all the other types of appointments.
Going to doctor's appointments, specifically the oncologist, and treatment also, like a infusion or chemo treatment.
And we're not really going to talk specifically about any of those. Honestly, we're going to bring up as examples, but if you guys need something specific on that, you got to let us know.
Yeah, wow. It'd be great. Comments are greatly appreciated. We love it. Okay. So first, when we're thinking about appointments, you got to think about your timeline overall. So when you're in the thick of it, appointments are scheduled for you, and you have them. And
so the thick of it, you're referring to
in treatment, active treatment, on a regular basis, doing chemo, doing all those kind of things. I think the appointments kind of get scheduled pretty regularly, and so
they run your life.
They run your life, exactly.
You won't have a big say in that. Although some of the advice we're going to be giving beyond just the scheduling still applies here.
Yeah.
For you.
So, I agree with that. But when you're at the point where I'm at, I am like thinking about, this summer I need to have a PET scan and a follow-up with my oncologist, right? So how can I tackle that? I'm at the point because I only go once a year to my oncologist. They don't even schedule that far out. So then it kind of comes back on me to go, oh, wait, we got to make this happen. So I now am thinking about summer and what that looks like for me. So first thing I would say with that is, in terms of scheduling, is choose the path of least resistance. I think it's been shown that people hate to schedule appointments. Like we hate to do it in general. It doesn't matter if it's a medical appointment or something else. But so do it the easiest way you can. For me, that is to put a message in my portal and say, hey, upcoming appointments, let's start thinking about that kind of thing. And then get some communication going that way.
Because it's just, for you, it's faster. Put something out there. When they have time, they respond. When you have time, you respond.
Exactly.
Versus,
Hi, you are caller number 4.
Yeah. Right. We finally get on, and this is now being handled in the blank wing,
right?
And we will transfer you there.
We don't have an order from your doctor, or whatever.
Right. Yep. Don't see it in the system. Yep.
So
But that might be, with some of you, that might be the least resistance, making a phone call
maybe
like
it's
that, because
easier
it's your
for you,
comfort.
or to ask,
Yeah.
and to be able to ask questions, that and get an answer right away. That's fine. For me, that's not my favorite thing. So I'll put a message in the portal,
And for some of you, honestly, the least resistance might be somebody else doing it for you.
and that's okay too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if that's their role in your life and they're good at that and they'll take that on and that's something off of your plate,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yep. So as we're looking at scheduling appointments, some of the things that need to be considered is kind of what your life looks like. Also, I just as I look at summer and the way I know my appointment is sort of falling, the big thing that is in the middle of that is the 4th of July.
America!
And my family has deemed that our holiday.
We have a lot of fun.
And we have a lot of fun, yeah. But knowing that, I also want to be able to be really present during that. So I am not taking my advice this year. I'm doing it completely the way I wouldn't normally do it. But I would say just stay away from that if you can. Just stay away from it. If it feels better to get the whole thing done beforehand, for me it's testing and then a follow-up with my doctor, then do it beforehand. I will say sometimes with insurance, they'll say it hasn't quite been a year, so you might not be able to. Or the other way, push it on the other end of that. But consider that you don't want to be at something that you've been looking forward to, worried about your results of your scans, right?
Which has happened multiple times to us.
Yes, many times. And also, I guess with that, when you start getting into the scheduling process, when somebody offers you an appointment, it's likely that is just the first appointment that they came upon.
It popped up on this computer.
It popped on. It doesn't mean you have to take it. So, I'm considering the date, but I'm also considering that I have a 2.5 hour drive. And so I'm not going to take an 8 o'clock in the morning appointment. And I'm not going to take a 9 o'clock appointment because I'm the traffic, so I've learned these things over the years and they're usually really accommodating about that. So,
And even if you feel like, well, my hospital is not accommodating on that, you can still got to ask the questions.
Yes.
Because think about it. Now you're that person on the phone. You just want to get this phone call over with and get that person scheduled.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about their life as the one taking the call. So you need to be proactive and be a little pushy without being rude. Mm-hmm. Be a little pushy, and this is what I need. And you don't need to tell them necessarily why. But don't just accept the first thing that they throw out there if it doesn't fit your life.
Yeah. The other thing with that is you might have some prep to do. Like you might be fasting or you might be doing those kind of things. So I don't really love to do a PET scan at 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
If I have to fast.
For sure.
I can. I've done it before because of work and things like that. But just know, I think in general people are they want to be accommodating if they can and use that. Do that. Mm-hmm. Anything else with actually timeline scheduling appointments? I think the farther you are able to schedule it out from the actual window that you want. And that's what I think you need to look at is if you have a window that you got to get this in this part of the year, you got to get this done. This part of the year, you got to get this done. This and this. The farther out you can do that, the more likely it is it's going to fit in your window. Mm-hmm. And the less anxiety, as you guys know, anything that we put off to the last minute usually doesn't go exactly the way we want it because we were just too late in getting in on that. So the farther out you can do that, and I know there's limitations to scheduling and computers and how long they let you do that, but if you can think through that, boy, that's in the books, it's on your calendar, it's done, it fit the need that you wanted, with all of those things that Heather just talked about. But you almost have to put that on your calendar to go time to schedule. I do that.
Oh, you do?
On my Google Calendar often. I will put, I do that for a lot of things. Like I do it for my dog's medicine. In fact, like I'll just put on, it's just helpful.
So the farther out, the less anxiety likely.
Yeah.
That you schedule.
All right.
Pre-game.
Pre-game. Again, we live in a world where sports rule the day, and so there's going to be a lot of analogies, I think, about.
Carries over. Sports are life.
So you've got your appointment scheduled. Let's talk about pre-game. Pre-planning, right? So
you want to talk about relieving anxiety, this can relieve a lot of it.
Yeah.
If you do this well.
Yeah. So first questions to me are, do you need to bring somebody? First,
I think we should say, have you ever been to this kind of appointment before?
Is
this a brand new test? Is this a brand new oncologist? Is this a brand new hospital to you? Is this a brand new treatment? Any of those things, you need to do this. Once you've been through it a couple of times, you probably don't need to do this step as much.
Yeah.
You agree? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, first time.
First time, oh man, if it's a brand new everything.
Yeah.
One, I would consider, do you really want to do that by yourself, or do you have to? If you have to, you have to. And you're, we're all strong people. We can do it. But it makes it a lot easier to have somebody with you a lot of times.
So in this case, would you make a phone call and talk to somebody in the department or whatever that you're going to if you've never done it? Or who would answer these questions?
I think I would ask the questions when I was on the call scheduling, actually.
But you weren't on the call scheduling. You did it on your portal.
Oh, I did it on my portal, but then I ended up talking to somebody at the end.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would talk to somebody, say, 3 months out about that?
Yeah, and okay. I mean, again, they should be, like, for a test, they should be saying, you need to do this or whatever. I think some of the things they don't talk about are like the clothing, stuff like that. But
yeah, because it's a scheduler you're talking to. It's a scheduler.
Right? But they should be, if they, for a PET scan, they should be saying, you need to fast for 6 hours. And now they'll say, like, you can't exercise for 2 days ahead of time. So.
Okay.
All of those kind of things.
And I think the scheduler's obviously going to have a list that pops up on the computer that the people running those tests or the oncologist or whatever said, hey, I need this told to them when you schedule. Yep. And that's going to be the basic stuff. Yep. Anything beyond that you question, you should
ask.
You should ask. Like the nurse practitioner that's working in the office, in the oncologist office, or the actual techs themselves running the tests. Or I would go to the source if I had more. But let's talk about some of these questions.
Well, just, I mean, do I need to bring somebody?
Yeah.
I mean, for
multiple reasons.
For multiple reasons. If you're going to treatment, you might not feel good enough to drive yourself home, right? Or you might have been taking meds that they won't allow you to drive home. Mm-hmm. For doctors' appointments, it's always great to have a second set of ears, right? And somebody who can advocate for you and ask questions maybe that you are just not going to be able, because your head's spinning about other things.
And that's the previous to that is you might hear one thing, and they're going, no, that's not what she meant or he meant.
I feel like, too, early in conversations, there were some things that, like, I literally just heard part, and then my brain was shut down after that. Like, so. And in terms of tests, also, tests invoke a lot of anxiety. And so I go to them by myself now, but I didn't for a long time. I just needed somebody to be there when I got off the table a lot of times, and somebody to, for a bone scan, you get an injection, then you have 3 hours to wait. So
that can be a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to bring somebody, right? I mean, do you want them? Is this somebody that's going to chew your ear off, and is that okay to pass the time? Or is that like, no way? Well, sometimes we don't have a choice. That's the driver we got, that we could get, and they were awesome enough to do that for you.
Yeah.
But do consider it similar to, when you got chemotherapy, that was from 8 to 6 p.m., 8 a.m.
Yeah.
to 6 p.m., you were getting chemo.
Yeah. Yeah, and we, we had circumstances where, like, often you were with me, or my mom would go with me. But there were times, like, when I did my double stem cell transplant, again, I was literally going to the hospital, like, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So we had to get other people to help us. And while well-meaning, not everybody does things the way your closest people do. And I mean, my dad's been dead for 10 years, so I can throw him under the bus a little bit. But one time, my dad and his best friend came. And my gosh, I was like, go away. And the cafeteria is down, like the whole thing.
I'll call you when I need you.
I felt like I was babysitting them, and that's not what I wanted. And likewise, my older brother came with me one time, and he'd gone to med school there. And so he was like, woo, it's an opportunity. I'm back, and again, like, it was fine, but it just, on the days that, you're scared and you're not feeling great and all of these things, you kind of want somebody who can just take, just sit beside you.
To read you. And
yes.
react to that.
Yeah.
If you need somebody to talk to, you need somebody that'll do that.
Yeah.
If you need somebody to shut up and just be there.
Yeah.
Or that you can bounce something off of
Yeah.
and just talk when spoken to. They got to read you. But it's got to be about you, especially when we're talking about treatment.
I agree.
Less in appointments, but in treatment, I mean, it's got to be about you, and they've got to be there. So hopefully you can find that person.
Yeah.
And that is also available to drive you and can take work off and all of that. I know it's hard.
It is hard. But there is some pre-planning. Also knowing kind of like, if I wear certain clothing, will I not have to change into a gown? That's a huge one for me. I hate gowns. I hate feeling like that. If I know that all I have to do is wear clothing that doesn't have any metal on it, and I'm good to go.
They're still going to tell you to get into a gown, right?
Yeah, but you can then tell them, no, I don't have any metal on.
And they go,
oh, okay. I mean, I'm wearing a sweatshirt right now with long sleeves. I would wear something that I could definitely pull the sleeves up on, or I would know when I had a port, I would wear something maybe with buttons on it so they could access, if you know what they need to do and then you can anticipate that, I feel just so strongly about being able to stay in your own clothes feels so much better throughout the day. So,
also with the anxiety of a new test specifically, and because that definitely happens with, I don't really know what to expect when they give you these letters to a test. Often it's called 3 letters, and you're like, okay, and I got well. Honestly, that's something you can Google, and it's safe to Google. And you can watch a video of somebody doing that test, which most of them involve you laying there. But you can get a picture of it. And if you've already seen something before you walk into that room, it's going to cause a little less anxiety to happen with you. And you can go, okay, and you can see, okay, this lasts on average 27 minutes. And it looks like that. And now you've seen it before. You haven't done it before, but you there's going to be less anxiety. That's something you can also do in pregame, is just get on the computer and Google what the test is and what does it feel like and what do I do and how long does it last and those kind of questions. Yeah. Because that can that can cause anxiety to go up.
Right. I will say too, like with that, they do they will ask you if you're kind of have a tendency to be claustrophobic and things like that. And if you have a driver, and if that is the case, like for me and MRIs, like we're just not really friends. So I prefer to be able to take something that can relax me. It makes it better for all of us. It makes, so don't be.
Which then requires a driver.
It does require a driver, yeah. But.
And here, well, I guess you should probably, maybe this is more of a game day thing, but if your just anxiety is going through the roof or whatever, with whatever test or something, you need to let them know that. And this, again, is probably a game day thing. But don't just say, wow, this really sucks and I'm going through that and that sucks. Let them know that. They can often make it better.
Yeah.
Right?
I think we all need to, speak out for ourselves a little bit more.
And have somebody there that can.
Have somebody there that can. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think that's it. You can, for pregame, think about what you want to bring with you. Think about...
Like, if it's an 8-hour day...
Yeah.
What? I mean...
Well, like, especially like with 8-hour days, I always think about treatment and think about like if nothing really sounds good, but you have been kind of existing on a granola bar or whatever, bring some granola bars. Like, bring the Gatorade you want, bring those kind of things, snacks and drinks.
Which is something you should find out in pregame.
Yeah.
What is my whole day going to be?
Yeah.
Because yes, they schedule 2 appointments, 1 treatment, and an oncologist, thing. They schedule that for you, but you don't really, a lot of times, understand what does that do to my day.
Yeah.
Ask those questions.
Yeah.
In pregame.
I would ask. I mean, again, also with like the scheduling thing, if you're scheduling multiple things in one day and it does seem like it's a lot to you, I would ask them, like, is this doable? And will I have time? And you can even ask them, like, what happens if I'm late? Those are things that I used to stress out about until I realized that there really was no true time at the University of Michigan. And the upside to that was that, if you were running behind, they would still get you in for the next thing. So, here I am fretting over something. They're like, no, just go to the appointment. It's fine. Mm-hmm. So, thinking about what you bring. Also, maybe if you are going to be sitting in treatment all day, like...
Or even between appointments.
Or between appointments, yeah. I take my Kindle with me. I bring my books, my phone. You might want a charger if you're on your phone a lot. You're
definitely going to want a charger.
Yeah. Sometimes it's even like things that are sort of maybe more mindless. So if you want to color, or if you want to do a puzzle book of some kind, Sudoku or something like that, sometimes I feel like I have activities that I'm more likely to do like in a hospital or on an airplane that I don't do as much other places, but just some of those things that kind of keep your hands a little busy and things like that. You can...
Which brings up, again, who's driving you? If you are a caregiver of somebody, like a parent, your kid might not be the best kid to bring. Because you don't stop doing that even when you're getting chemo. You're going to be worried about that. Are you hungry? You shouldn't be doing that. You should be worrying about yourself that day.
Right.
That just popped in.
Yeah.
I can see people doing that, bringing the wrong person, and then they're packing stuff for them. No, that is not how this works.
Right.
Shouldn't work, I should say.
Yeah. So I think that's it. I mean, and again, like a lot of places have some stuff available, but don't count on it,
That's not great.
If you end up getting someplace and getting snacks from them or doing whatever, fine. That's fine. You end up taking it home. That's great. But yeah.
Game day.
Ugh.
First time game day, too. I mean, it could be, right? First time you go somewhere for an appointment,
I would say leave early.
Yeah.
Especially first time. It's, just...
Because, again, you don't want that anxiety of, all right, my appointment's in 3 minutes and we haven't even got to the parking garage yet. Yeah.
Yeah, and which parking garage? Because there's 5 of them.
Right.
So, leave early. Be dressed wearing the stuff that you is comfortable for you. I don't know. What else do we talk about for game day? I'm
drawing a blank now too.
I mean, I think we've talked a lot about it in terms of planning for it. The actual game day occurs, the actual appointments and things like that. Just know that you can advocate for yourself.
This might be towards the end of game day, but you need to ask a lot of questions when you're there about what do the next week or week look like because of a new treatment I got, or even some tests. If you had to take stuff prior to the test, when does that wear off? When does it not? When can I? You need to, do your best to come up with a list, because it's so much easier there to ask the question of the person doing it to you or in that office than getting on a phone the next day and asking. I know they give you the numbers. It's so much better asking that day. And truly, if you have somebody with you that is that kind of a processor that can think about but what about what, those kind of things. If you want to talk about, on game day and you got a test done.
Yeah, so I think the other thing with like that is just knowing what to expect as you're leaving in the next, like you said, the next few days. When are results going to come in, right? Results, and what are they going to look like? And
But you need to, they're not going to probably tell you. I mean, sometimes they do.
Yeah.
You need to ask.
You can ask them. And sometimes they'll say, "Oh, they'll probably read it today," or whatever. You never know what that's going to look like.
But then the question of, should you get on the portal and look?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
with some things or not other.
Right.
Right? Why don't you speak to that?
So I feel like there's a lot of different ways to handle this, but I have seen over and over and over again where people will read their results on a portal and freak out. Sometimes they will literally copy and paste them into a Facebook group saying, "What does this mean?" Well, if you want to spike your anxiety, that's a great way to do it.
Which is not good for our immune system, by the way. Spiking our anxiety. We're trying to give you so many tools to not have that happen because it's not good for our immune system. And your immune system's fighting cancer right now.
Yeah. So I literally will talk through what my plan is about getting results and how and when I'm going to get them. I've talked through them with you. Mm-hmm. This has changed over the years because I didn't always have a portal. But now, I'm going to just talk about it as if we do have I think most of you do have a portal. Mm-hmm. I will get a notification saying there's new results in your portal. If I am anxious about those results, I do not open them. I don't open them. I might choose to then look at them with you, or I might choose to call my doctor, or I might have scheduled well enough to know that I literally can do the test and then just go into the office and get the results there. Mm-hmm. I have read many, many bone scans, PET scans that sound really freaking scary, and guess what? They were stable. They were fine.
And seriously, we have gone in to an oncologist appointment expecting like, wow, this is, and our oncologist is like,
what are you talking about?
Everything's great. And we're like, wait, what? I thought we were going back into chemo today, or what, you know, restarting this new treatment.
Yeah.
And now she's like, oh, everything's great.
Yeah.
So stop it. Unless you have spent many years in med school or a tech that works in that area and knows exactly what those mean, or a nurse practitioner or a nurse, I would highly recommend you don't read those and let the oncologist do their job.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not going to change anything, right?
It's not going to change anything.
Nothing.
This is one thing, if you want to, another thing that I used to do was I would call and say, do I need to bring somebody? Mm-hmm. And they would say, yeah, no, you're good, or yes, you know what I mean?
If you want to.
If you want to,
yeah.
You know. So other things, if you want to call and get your results, if somebody can talk you through your results, great. That's great. I mean, to alleviate that, to know that you're coming into an appointment, and even if they're not great, if you know, sometimes a few days to kind of go, okay, we can do this, you know.
We just have to stop reading results as if we understand them, because the fact is you need to go to a lot of years of school to truly understand what they mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do.
I agree. And I think I don't think it's good for the community for people to put results out for other people also. I mean, it's
some people's just that's their only answer. And I understand that. I do. Mm-hmm. They're freaking out. They shouldn't have read it. They did read it. Mm-hmm. And now they're just, please, somebody out there tell me that this is okay.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. And they're freaking out. And that sucks.
Yep. So the other thing I would say with kind of post game is just that every time that I have an appointment, or like a yearly scan, it's an opportunity for me to reevaluate and say, okay, what do I want to work on, or what's next, or what, it's kind of a evaluation in terms of I don't want to just live from one appointment, like from scan to scan kind of thing, but I think it's an opportunity to, do I want to focus a little bit on getting healthier in this way? Or are we, all of those kind of things, just what's going right, what's not going right, those kind of, it's just an opportunity to reevaluate, and also to be, when you get good results, to be grateful. And we don't celebrate like we used to, but we used to always celebrate good results. Always. We would celebrate them. We would go out to dinner. We would do something that was, that was good. And, but just to live this life where you're constantly, going to all these appointments, we just got to figure out ways to make it more manageable for us, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Also on game day, or post game, so you're home or whatever. Hopefully you've asked the questions that you needed when you were there.
Yeah.
And what that can do is, if they tell you that, after 3 days, you're going to actually start feeling worse, and you're going to feel bad for 5 days, and then you likely going to ramp up, you could then ask some follow-up questions. Is there anything I can do in those 5 days to maybe make that better? Or for you to read, what can I do to make myself feel better? Is it exercise? What kind of diet? Those kind of things. And then your post-game is putting those in practice. You now have a job to do. If you want to feel the best, do those things. And
or even just like, when you're looking at treatment and stuff like that, and knowing, I think it's such a misconception that like people think that they're going to get chemo and like immediately start throwing up. A lot of times you have that window of time that you're feeling really quite good. So like, really, maybe if you're working, you should go to work the next day and whatever. But then, that 3 days out, maybe that's the weekend, or, can you schedule things so that you can be down?
It depends on the chemo you're getting and how much you're
absolutely.
getting.
Absolutely. But and again,
they'll answer those questions for you, though, if on game day. Ask the people involved. They know.
Yeah. And again, that is where the portal does make things a lot better. You can send a message pretty easy, and there's even a tab in the portal that says follow-up questions. So, if it seems like too much to sit on the phone, which for me, I feel like it is sometimes, it's just easier sometimes to send an email. So
hopefully you've gotten something that maybe you didn't know or haven't been doing that maybe could make it easier, or somebody that's doing this and you're like, man, this might help them. Please share this with them.
Yeah.
Doesn't take long to listen to this, and maybe they catch something. Heather's got a lot of experience going through this and can help.
Yeah. So we're just trying to make it all a little bit better and relatable. It can feel so lonely to be going through treatment and all that kind of stuff. And I know that like metastatic cancer in particular is just, it's so overwhelming. But there's some of us that are out there and we just want to make it a little better for you. So, all right. We hope this helped. We'll talk to you soon.
Good game.